And then the wheel starts turning. Why did that happen? What was going on? Maybe I should change this. I know what I want and where I want things to be. So you just deal with that process and then you let it go and you just park it.
At what age maybe I can be a professional cricketer?
3? I look at my daughter. She will watch an episode of Bluey where I was just watching cricket. So we landed on like the Wednesday.
You came from South Africa, landed on a Wednesday?
By Saturday, I was playing club cricket. Part of the thing when they're looking for a house is we've got to find somewhere we can put a pitch in.
What legend?
Like, I was never the most talented kid.
You weren't?
Nah, I looked like I could play and I had a thirst for learning. Hard work trumps natural ability anytime.
How do you find out that you're going to play for Australia?
JL wrote me a letter and just reiterated that belief in me. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it.
Joffre, though, he hit Smithy and then he hit you immediately.
Oh, no. Didn't hurt. Like, it just hit me in the grill and the grill took all the blow. And I was just like, you got to get up.
The World Cup final.
I went to bed that night and I had this feeling.
You had a feeling the night before?
Yeah. Being dropped 3 or 4 times, not being on the original tour. There's so many things to it. It's an amazing story.
How many bats do you currently have in circulation?
Define circulation.
Welcome to the Howie Games. You might just have heard a bit of that. The man is a fashion icon now. I'm pumped to have him here. We're in the magnificent Queensland studios up here in Listener overlooking the river. Marnus Labuschagne, welcome to the show, mate. How are you?
Howie, superb to be on the show. Beautiful view. And yeah, very excited to see what we've got.
And we'll have to send out a photo. This is a new retro Bulls top with what can I even describe, Marnus? A very high collar.
It's a high collar.
It is.
That's the one part that I have questions over, but the rest of it, I just had a hit this morning, and Andy Bickle strolled over to the nets, and he gets this shirt out, and he goes, "I just found this in my cupboard." He's moving place, and I got it out of the packaging. 1994, this is the first time the Queensland Bulls, they were marketing the Queensland Bulls when we shifted away from...
So this is not a new top. This is an original
that
he found.
Original.
And he pulled it out of the plastic, never worn.
This has never been worn.
Wow.
But it's been...
So this was the launch of the Bulls. Before it would have just been Queensland cricket team.
That's it. It's
There
the
you
launch of the
go.
Bulls. And I said, Bick, give that to me. I'll wear it on the podcast.
I
That's
love
elite.
it. I love it.
And-
We'll take this global.
Mate, how good is it? Where shirts like this gone?
I don't know, man.
Honestly.
I don't know. Mate, can we do
The collar.
the collar's the one
the collar.
issue. Can we
collar's
do
big
Can we do
question.
some type of cross marketing deal? I'll get this out on the appropriate channels, and if people start requesting where to purchase it, I need you to have the answer to that when the podcast comes out.
Andy Bickle's house in the
Okay.
cupboard, top drawer.
I had cricket training last night, and I'm far too old to play cricket. But there was rain coming past, and my young bloke was shattered because he thought training was going to get called off. I was shattered
They're
because I
bad
thought we
days.
weren't going to have a hit. Do you still love it?
They're bad days. I vividly, just to take you a little bit.
Please do.
I vividly remember many tears being shed on like the reason I went to school was so I could finish school and then train.
Yep.
And it was like, on the days that it was like, it's raining, it's like, no cricket training. There was some sad Saturday mornings when you wake up and it's raining.
What would Marnus do when you wake up and open the curtains, think, right, I got 50 in me today and it's raining? Because it still annoys me now, and I watch my 12-year-old son. About Wednesday, he starts looking at the Bomb app and he just gets flatter and flatter and flatter.
Yeah, I mean, I would find a way. It might not be out there, but it'd be inside, tennis ball against the wall. Or depending on how wet it is, get outside. I was very privileged enough to have a cricket pitch. My parents, we built a cricket pitch in my backyard, my dad and I.
Well, you need to describe this in detail, because I always love the backyard setup. You had a pitch.
Yeah, so when we moved over, I was about 10.
Yep.
And the first thing we did before looking for like schools, it was like, we got to get Marnus into a cricket club. So we landed on like the Wednesday.
Yeah.
By Saturday, I was playing club cricket.
So we'll get to South Africa, but you came from South Africa, landed on a Wednesday, and you were playing on Saturday.
And part of, bless my parents, they are absolutely amazing. But part of the thing when they're looking for a house is we've got to find somewhere we can put a pitch in.
What legends.
Like honestly,
How good's your mum
these
and
guys.
dad?
What
are your parents'
You
names?
can't even Andre and Alta.
Well done to Andre and Alta.
So the first place we moved into, we lived at the Redland Bay, which is a little bit in the sticks, a bit far away, but we got a pitch in the front yard. In the backyard.
Right.
And my granddad was over at this time as well. And so my dad, myself, and my granddad, how old was I? 10?
Yep.
11?
Yep.
Got concrete, poured a concrete slab, we did everything ourselves.
Right.
Laid the artificial grass.
What did you go with, like the old Simpson turf?
Just the classic practice net,
Yep.
Grass. But the problem at this place we only had about 7 meters of pitch,
Yep.
and then it was pavers,
Okay.
and then it was undercover area, and then the bowling machine was right at the back.
Right.
So there was a bit of a ridge on a length where you met. So we didn't have enough
between the
space.
pavers and the concrete.
Yeah, between the pavers. So because we had to kind of tilt it down so there wasn't a step up. Anyway, so there's a few rearing balls, but I spent hours and hours out there. Mates come home from school and we play in the net, bowling.
Has he had a bowling machine?
Had a bowling machine, yeah.
Was it the old? What was the old one called? Was it a
Jugs.
The jugs.
I had a jugs. I got upgraded to the jugs.
So what did you start with?
I started with a single wheeler,
Right.
And then as I progressed and
Yep.
got better, we then moved into Dad for my birthday. I got a machine, and then thankfully for my sister and my mum, I also got an automatic feeder.
I was going to say, so your dad or your mum or your sister didn't have to be out there all day.
So there was heaps of early days bribing my sister. I had to go, play with her for a certain amount of time. We're doing that, and then she would feed me
To
4
feed you
buckets
balls.
of balls. They were early bribing days. It was give and take, but I was out there all day. On a wet day, you wake up, you're devastated. But you find other means to train or hit balls or muck around.
Well, this is the conversation I had yesterday. He had a squad thing where he was going to be training on turf after school.
Oh,
But that got rained out.
yeah.
So then he's on the way home saying, Dad, his senior's on. I said, well, it hasn't started raining yet. He said, well, if it rains, we'll have to set up in the garage. So
But that's it. I mean, that's what it was. When we were kids, it was we'd play cricket with a softball inside. Or we would play in the garage and set up a game in the garage. So they're the great things about finding a way. But there was nothing worse than getting that call on a Saturday morning. Club cricket's off. It's too wet. They were tough mornings.
And so a morning like this morning, you've been, and I'm sure you will get back to it, statistic being the number 1 test batsman in the world. You go in there as a 30-year-old. Do you still wake up and think, beauty, I'm having a hit today, or is it a bit like work?
No. Not in. Like I said, I've only worked, I would say, 6 months of my life.
Right.
At the coffee club when I was 17 years old. I would suggest that cricket coaching doesn't really become a viable work option, but I'm just doing what I love.
So you wake up this morning and think, beauty, I'm going to have a hit.
Yeah, 100%. And last night I'm sitting in bed, I'm thinking about what I want to do, how I go about it, the things I'm working on, or the things I want to improve, or things wake up in the morning genuinely excited.
So what were you working on today?
What was I working on today? Well, for me, it's just about getting my game in a really nice place. When I get to Perth on Sunday. So that Monday, the bowlers will be bowl Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, probably Thursday off, Friday play. So for me, it's about getting my game, getting all my thoughts out, everything that I'm thinking about, if it's my technical, my grip, my stance, anything I want to tinker with, and get it into a space where when I fly out on Sunday, I just go there and I'm watching the ball, and effectively, to put it in simple terms, is to shift the thought process from my end to the bowler's end. Okay. So what's the bowler bowling? Where's he bowling on the crease? Okay, what am I going to do if he does that?
As opposed to what you're doing.
As opposed to what I'm doing.
Perfect.
And so whenever I've played at my best, all my thoughts are at the other end.
It's a great explanation.
Watching the ball, if he's coming a bit wider on the crease, how am I going to set up? Or if he's coming tighter, what am I going to do? And it's all about the other end. So when I've played at my best, that's where my thought, my process is. So this week it's about kind of trying a few things, my thoughts that I've had that I'll go, oh, maybe I'll do this or I'll do that. And then sort of eliminating that as each day goes forward. Okay, I'm one step closer to Sunday takeoff, ready to go.
We'll get back to South Africa, but just while you're talking about batting in that particular instance. So at some stage in the next month, you'll be facing Jasper Bumrah,
Yep.
who's regarded as the number one, if not, it's not Paddy, it's him, or Paddy, that's the number one test bowler in the world. So when he's at the top of his mark, tell us, for those that only watch on TV and think, geez, this bloke looks like a handful, what's it like facing him, and what are you trying to do, and what are you looking out for when he's coming in?
Yeah, I mean, he's another one similar to that conversation we had before about the crease. He comes quite wide on the crease. So for me, it'll be just about how am I going to play that? What am I going to do from a tactical space to cut down the angle, to make it hard for him to get me out, understanding where their bowls are going to bowl. So, obviously knowing that, I've nicked off a fair few times in that channel.
Mm-hmm.
So, once again, I know my weaknesses better than anyone else knows my weaknesses or areas that I've been getting out. So I know that's an area that they'll target. So for me, it's about, okay, how am I going to combat that? What does that look like? And it always sort of starts with run scoring. Okay, how am I going to score?
So that's the starting point.
Always. How am I going to score, and how am I going to put pressure back on the opposition? And that doesn't always mean runs. Pressure just means getting them off their length where they want to bowl. What does that look like? If Vernon Fernandes bowling on a green seamer in Tasmania, if you let him bowl 6 balls in the same spot, it's going to be very difficult. So you've got to find a way to put pressure back on him. Now, I'm not a guy that, probably like Pup or like Davey, where they hit the ball on top of the bounce and they just take the ball off the length, and that's how they take them off their length.
Yeah.
I'm someone that might move around the crease or shift in a different direction, or come out, sit deep in my crease, that to get them off that good length to make it difficult for them to bowl back-to-back good balls at you.
Wow, you obviously know so much about batting. I got to say, I should have said at the start, I love watching you bat. When we're in comments and you come out to bat, it's fantastic because there's always a battle taking place. You mentioned that you know your weaknesses better than anyone. Again, relating back to my 12-year-old, for the last 3 years when we were in the nets, we have the conversation, well, what's Marnus' best shot? Marnus' best shot is the leave, because he knows where his off stump is to leave it. In more recent times, you mentioned the channel, and that's when they're going to target you. What's happening for you in that channeled area where in the past you just let... the old theory about there's a good leave or a bad leave. If it doesn't hit your stump, it's a good leave. Where are you at with that?
That's great. It's a good question. I think probably there's a few points to that. I think people are bowling a bit differently. So I think
to you,
to me. So there was a certain period of time where, because I was leaving the ball so well in that area,
beautiful,
that they were coming a lot straighter and targeting me straight and going more leg side field. So I think maybe through that process, maybe it was an area that I probably didn't not spend as much time on, but just didn't face as many balls in that channel. Secondly, a few technical things. Just the way I've positioned, sort of opening up a little bit, and then sort of, like that Harris Ralph dismissal the other day. Ball sort of angled in, I nicked it, and you walk off and you're like, oh, that looks like a pretty good ball. And then you look back and you're like, oh, not really. It's a nice ball, but
you could
nice
let it go.
Balls. Yeah, but nice balls shouldn't be getting me out.
Okay.
Right? Nice balls, great balls are going to get you out occasionally. Right?
So you thought it was a great ball, and then you've gone back and had a look
No,
at it.
no, I never thought it was a great ball.
Okay.
I thought it was an all right ball.
Okay.
But it was probably less than that. It was just in a decent length. For me, it's about combating that. Maybe if that's getting further across my stumps, or sitting more leg side, or coming out, or sitting deep, whatever that looks like. It's just kind of, for me, it always starts with when I've batted with so many different techniques, bat up, similar to Harry Brook, got the bat up there during the World Cup. At times where I batted a little bit, 2019, I was a little bit more, my bat was a bit lower. I was probably got a little bit more chest on, but I sort of squared my hips off really nicely and defended nicely and left well. So there's different times that I've batted with different techniques that have worked. But the key for me is to get to a space where I'm really comfortable and confident in whatever technique I have. And then from there, I can just build a platform. And like you said, my best attribute is my decision making. And that's what's got me to be the best. So that's what I need to go back to and sort of stick to those foundations of what built your game. How did you get where you are? And for me, it's always been I've been a good decision maker. I've left the ball well, and I've put opposition under pressure with those things I spoke about, moving around the crease, but ultimately just being a very, very good decision maker.
We could obviously, and people understand.
I need to stop saying obviously.
No.
Now that you say that,
people understand that you have such a passion for the game and the batting. So we could speak about batting for 2
All day,
hours.
yeah.
We really could, and I know you'd love that. You mentioned you came here as a 10 or 11-year-old. Tell me about your early memories of South Africa. I love Africa, and I love South Africa. I've had the privilege of taking my kids there, and all the opportunities and the things to see and do. So where did you grow up in South Africa, and what are your memories as a young bloke of South Africa?
Yeah, so I grew up in a town called Potch.
Right.
I was born in Clarksdorp.
Right.
So pretty much small mining town. And
which state are we talking about here?
Western Province.
Okay, Western Province. Right.
Yeah, so it's like probably 2 hours from Pretoria.
Okay.
But yeah, it's... Yeah, so I mean, it was... how do I describe it? I mean, I loved it. Like we're privileged enough that we didn't move over to South Africa, to Australia because of crime or something that happened. We just moved over because Dad got an opportunity with the company he was working with there, and then that moved us over to Brisbane to set up the office here in Brisbane.
So those early days in South Africa, what got you into cricket?
Oh, geez. I have to get my mum on the line. I just fell in love with cricket and rugby. I mean, as
rugby as well.
Yeah, like as a kid, that's all I played. Winter was rugby, summer was cricket. That was just that's what you grew up in South Africa. There wasn't many options. I mean, you're not, there's not as, you didn't have rugby league, AFL.
Yep.
All these other sports, basketball. It was. For girls, it was mainly netball, and if you're a young boy in South Africa, you played rugby or cricket, and there's some guys played hockey and stuff like that. But the two main sports were cricket and rugby, and I just fell in love with the game. My mum still tells me the memories of, I look at my daughter, she's watching, maybe she will watch an episode of Bluey where I was just watching cricket on TV. I was watching, Mum would put test match or there'd be a replay on, and, as a 2 to 3 year old, I would just sit there and watch the cricket for ages.
Who was your hero?
Jack Ellis.
So Jack Ellis, I loved in the Amazon Test doco where I think it's April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And they get JL to say to you, you got to start naming Ponting or the likes because the boys are getting annoyed at you. Classic stitch.
That's a great gag.
It's
a good gag.
And you were like, when JL was speaking to you as you would, you're like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realise I was doing that. No, it entertained
That's a good
me.
gag.
Were you? So who did you first play organised cricket in South Africa?
Yeah.
So how old were you? Who were you playing for? And can you cast your mind back to remember your first game or a first-ish game, an early memory of playing proper cricket?
Yeah, I can. I reckon. So my first game, I was in grade. Grade 1.
Grade 1. So you're
grade 1.
Six.
I played so I played for the grade 3 team.
Okay.
In grade 1
for the school.
I went to a school called Bailey Park firstly when I was over there, and then I moved over to a different school when we moved over. But yes, I played school cricket, grade 1, 2, and 3, because then I moved over to Australia for the start of skip grade 4 to grade 5.
Were you a star at grade 2 and grade 3? No time for you are a very modest man, but were you a standout? Were you smacking them?
It's hard to judge. I just loved it. I batted, I bowled. I fielded.
Were you rolling out those leggies or the
no,
mediums?
No, same
Pace.
as back then.
Right.
No time for leggies. So yeah, loved it. And I've got so many other memories. So we're playing on turf then, right? So we're not playing on Synto.
You're playing on turf?
Yeah, turf.
In whites?
Well, South Africa, we had the rugby shorts.
Okay.
With the long socks.
Socks pulled
And
up?
white, yeah, socks pulled up here. And then like the full hard ball, grade 2, 3. Yeah, so my first memories, I can't remember, the scores I got, but I just loved it. I was there every day, and that was, back in the day in South Africa where, it's a bit more discipline orientated.
Yes.
If you bowl one down leg, you'd get the coach just whack you on the bum with a little stick.
This is what I need to do to my
Yeah,
son.
this
So
is
just give you a little clip.
Mate, so we're all bowling there. You bowling to the batter, you down leg, get away. It's a wide, mate. That's bang. Taught you very well.
I bet.
Very well. Started wearing like two or three sets of pants.
Because you were sending too many down leg sides.
Yeah, like if you push one down leg, yeah.
And you're speaking Afrikaans as a young man?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Only Afrikaans.
Only Afrikaans.
Yeah, went to Afrikaans school.
Do you remember when your mum or dad said, we are moving to Australia?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Because that's a big change for a young man.
I think we're on holiday.
They dropped it in the middle of a holiday.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're on a holiday, and I mean, I can't even imagine me as a parent now, like those questions mum and dad had to go through.
Yes.
Uproot the whole family, but we'll get to that. I just remember we're at the beach. I can't remember which beach we were, but we're on holiday, and they told us that we were going to Australia. Now at that stage, like, what's this? 2003.
Yep.
Before the World Cup. Before the 2003 World Cup.
I love that you've put it back to a World Cup.
No, because I remember we're watching the World Cup here in Australia.
Yep.
But, so, 99 World Cup, how old was I then? 6.
So in
5.
England? Where's the 99 World Cup?
No, 99.
no. Yeah,
99
okay.
was in... 2003 was in South Africa.
In South Africa, yeah. Okay.
99 was...
We'll have to
England.
fact
I think
check
it's
that.
England.
Yep.
I think it's England. And, Australia beating South Africa
It's
in
in
the
England.
99 in England.
Of course it's in England.
Lance Klusener. I was
Alan
live.
Donald.
I watched that.
How did
as
that
a
hit you
kid.
as a young man?
Oh, not well. You can't imagine. You can't imagine. I was. I'm an emotional person.
You are.
At 30.
Yep.
So at 5, devastated.
So you remember
Alan
watching it.
Donald dropped his bat. Lance Klusener at one end. It's a tie. In that stage, like Zulu was one of my favourite players. Like I loved Lance Klusener. I had the SS. I had an SS. Like I don't know what that SS was. I don't think it's the same as the SS now.
Yep.
But like Zulu, I think player of the tournament for
Yes.
the 99 World
Just
Cup.
started smacking him.
Started banging him.
And there was a few balls to spare as well. There was time in the game.
Don't
Sorry,
get
Mark.
me started.
So
Don't get
then
me started.
2003 comes along.
2000, it sort of been, probably December holidays.
Yep.
So 2002.
Yep.
And, we get we're going to go to, we're moving over. And so part of the company was that they were going to fly us back 2 times a year still. So I actually had my, my 10th birthday in South Africa with all my friends from over there.
Yep.
So that was in June. We flew back, and then we flew back in December again. But then that's when the cricket started ramping up. But devastated when they said we were moving to Australia, because it was like at that stage Australia was like the enemy. It's like you're moving to Australia. It's like nah, you can't. Like what do you mean?
So you would have known. The only thing I presume as a 10-year-old you would have known about Australia was Australia's cricketers.
Yeah, and like at that stage it's like Warney was amazing.
Yeah.
Like Punter, Gilly, and they were just better than South Africa through that era.
So you didn't
and
want to bark
always
Australia?
just like, mate, I can't believe I feel like this is crazy. But moved over to Australia.
So you moved to Australia. Did you speak English at all, Marn?
No, not at home.
Not at home.
And not like, I mean, I could understand bits and pieces just from
So you're
being
far
a
from
kid.
fluent.
No. Like as in like I understood certain things. I could put things together, but I couldn't speak or definitely like in-class learning was chaos.
I was about to say, so how do you approach day one at school being the new kid from South Africa that doesn't speak the language? That's not... Kids are so adaptable.
Luckily, I have confidence. That's probably the
Yes.
one thing I've got. I was always a good social kid. So socially, I was good and I communicated. I could find a way. But in-class learning, no, yeah, not good. Not good. Like, couldn't, like, reading and, like, in South Africa, the numbers are backwards. So, like, if you were saying 45 in South Africa, you would say 45. So you'd say the 5 and then the 4.
In Afrikaans.
In Afrikaans.
Gee whiz,
So
yeah.
that's, like, in my mind, that's chaos. So, like, I remember getting that wrong. Like, first day at school, I remember the teacher, I think it was Mr. Bart was his name.
Right.
And he said, get out your rubbers and rulers. I was like, no idea what that is. What's a rubber?
So you're just looking at what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like you said, kids are so adaptable.
They are.
And like through that period, yeah, I made it through school. My sister stayed back a year. So she did grade 1 in South Africa at an English school. So my parents sent her to an English school for 6 months.
So she got her own. She had a net session.
Yeah, and then she started in grade 1, where I went Afrikaans school grade 3, skipped grade 4, just sink or swim grade 5, 6, 7.
What happened to grade 4?
I didn't skipped it because the age transfers.
Right, so not only were you a different language, you missed a whole year
missed a whole
education.
year.
Probably not understanding a great deal of the conversation around you, but understanding the game of cricket.
But not at a bat.
Right.
Not at a bowl. So it was great fun. And that helped me just get into, you know, a little bit more normality. Because I think I had to use someone else's kit because our stuff was in a container.
Yep.
Coming over from South Africa. So that was like months away. So I had to use other kit, but that was fine.
But this is the great benefit of sporting clubs, and I see it with
Yeah.
my children now. You can go move somewhere, not know anyone. You walk into a cricket club, you know 50 people.
Exactly. You walk there, you know, and that was probably great for my parents. They met, you know, my mum met people at cricket that, you know, South African people that were in a similar situation, and, you know, we're still friends, and, you know, we played, and she met other friends, you know, with my sister doing, you know, dance or ballet somewhere, and she met another friend that she's now still friends with, and they're, you know, so it was a great way to meet people, because, you know, you're sitting there, everyone's watching their kids, you're talking to people, and
Absolutely.
all of a sudden...
You mentioned the SS. Was that your first bat? Can you remember your first bat?
No. First bat, I reckon, was a Duncan Fernley.
A Duncan Fernley.
Like,
Well, used by
early
my hero,
days.
Alan Border, a DF.
yeah, so early days, massive Hunsey Cronier fan.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so met Hunsey and Sean Pollock when I was... You'll be able to get the photo up somewhere. But
I've seen this
there's a photo. That's just at Bloemfontein.
Yep.
They're playing a one-day game there, and we travelled and watched them train, my dad and my uncle. And I got a photo with Sean Pollock and Hunsey, and so I had a Duncan Fernley first, but my first bat that I could probably, like, I remember, I've seen photos of that Duncan Fernley, but the first bat was a V600 Slazenger.
Oh, Slazenger, nice.
Like
bat
Sean
as well.
Pollock
Yeah.
V600, and then I got upgraded for one Christmas. I got my V1200 Jack Callis. Oh, I just loved it. Like yellow riding. It was the best.
I can recall, it was only a couple of years ago now when Sean was out working with us on Fox, when he was out in the middle and you went up and you were just that pumped to see him in the middle of the ground. And I said, oh, you had a chat to Marnus. And he's like, oh, yeah, I met him as a very young man, but I remember seeing how pumped you were that you were there out in the ground chatting to Sean.
Yeah, so excited. Like I said, it's just, it's hard, you know, these guys were my heroes when I was growing up, and to see them now, it doesn't really change. You're still a bit like, man, that is cool.
Mate, what do you think it's like sitting in the commentary box next to Alan Border or Shane Warne or, you know, whoever it may be?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Bats. When did you become a Kookaburra man? And when did you first get, because you're a good cricketer, a bat for free? Because that's got to be a great moment in anyone's life.
So I've only officially been contractually sponsored by Kookaburra, and that was at 17.
Do you remember when you got your first bat and didn't have to pay for it?
Yes, that was Gabba Sport, and I actually played the under-19 carnival So I played a year. So I was in grade 10 or 11.
Yep.
And I played a year down. So I wasn't in any of the squads, scored runs, did well. And then all of a sudden, I got my first, couple of pairs of gloves, pads, and, a Gabba Sport. That was so for that 19s carnival, I used Gabba Sport. And then the next year, at the 19s, I was with Kookaburra. And that's when I signed my first contract with someone. And haven't left.
Tell me of your... I remember people talking about Smithy's bats and then going into the change rooms, being invited in, I think, which blew my mind. When Dave made his triple century, and Smithy had his bag, I said, how many bats you got? And he said, I've got 7 or 8. And then I can't remember, it could have been Matthew Wade said, I asked him about his other bag. And there was this other little duffel bag to the side, which had
double duffel.
another 10 bats. How many bats do you currently have in circulation before we get to what you're going to use when you go out to bat?
Circulation. Yeah. Define circulation.
No, Marnus, you define circulation.
No, I mean, how many bats currently, would I walk out at Optus Stadium and bat with?
Okay, before that, how many bats would you have at home in the garage?
I actually... take you back. So last week we played in Melbourne.
Yes.
So I took a duffel bag.
Yes.
Probably about 15 bats.
For a one-day?
No. Took it back to Kookaburra.
Oh, took it back to Kookaburra.
To get the stickers sorted, some new handles, some things changed,
so
weights taken out.
That had 15 bats.
So I have 15 in them.
Right.
And so I dropped off, let's say 10 of them. I have 5. So a little bit less because they're all at the factory getting, Lockie is sorting them out.
So how many will you take to the first test match?
The first test, probably 5.
Okay, tell me currently the bat, what's your favourite? So I presume your favourite bat is the one you're going to use in the test match?
Yep.
Righto, tell me about your favourite bat.
I would say... I go through different stages. There's different stages where I have a favourite bat and it's just locked in.
And what is it about those favourites?
Don't worry, I've done some digging into that.
I know you have, man.
And in this bag that I took back was actually the bat that I've got 5 test hundreds with.
Okay.
With one bat. It's
what type of bat is it? A Kookaburra what?
Ghost. And this bat, I mean, I could still wheel it out this summer. I could wheel it out. And it just feels so good in my hand. The handle's perfect. Everything about it. So I used that bat from 2019.
Right.
So I got 2 bats in 2019. Lockie was out at in England. And he gave me 2 bats out the front of Hampshire.
Handmade.
Handmade. Yeah. Front of Hampshire gave me these 2 bats. And so the one I used for my debut. My Ashes debut at Lords.
Against Jofra Archer.
Yeah, Jofra.
Right.
And then I used that for the start of the season, and then that was cooked, but I had 2. They were twins. They looked identical. And then the other one was the one then I took over. So that bat there I used 2019 and then brought it back in 2021. So it was in my retirement bags, already got all the runs,
what, written on the back?
No, on the handle.
Okay.
So what I scored under the grip. Yeah.
Under the grip.
So just what I've 100 against Pakistan, hundreds against New Zealand, and then I brought it out for the Ashes here, and then I got 70 something, and then got caught a point off Leachy, and then the next game I got 100. Where I think I got dropped 3 times. Josh Butler dropped easiest catch that night, but that bat honestly just felt good in the hands. So I've gone back to that. So
and how finicky are you with the bat?
Oh, you wouldn't believe.
Well, just give me a minute. Give me a minute understanding in how obsessed you are with your bat.
So Lockie and I were there. So I arrived in Melbourne at 2:30.
Yep.
I got to the factory, so straight from Melbourne Airport to Moorabbin. So it's hour 10.
Straight to the Kookaburra factory.
Didn't go home. Didn't go straight there. And we left at 7 o'clock. So we were there. And we're talking about shaving off the handles. We're talking millimeters. Less than a mil.
Right.
To try and get the feel right. Just changing the shape a little bit. so it was a bit round. So we wanted a little bit more like, the top of an egg.
Right.
The top of an egg is a bit pointy.
Yep.
You kind of want that at both ends so your fingers can grip onto the bat when they need to come on. So we're like drawing shapes on and Lockie.
Does Lockie go,
great
no.
sport.
Does Lockie know Marnus are coming in today? Clear the decks?
Definitely. Definitely. He's and I mean, he is so good. He gets them, he gets his handles perfect, 9 times out of 10. And he knows the feel. So it's so there's a measurement, right? So it's we have the, 30 millimeters wide,
On your handle.
34 millimeters here. So that's the ovalness that the handle is, right? 30, 34.
So it's not a perfect circle, it's an oval.
It's an oval.
30 by 34 millimeters.
34. But, the 34 needs to be in the right position for it to fit in that little hand groove. So there's a lot. So it's a feel thing. So it's you could make 5 handles and you could make them 34, 30. And, 2 of them might be like, no, that's not right.
So what would happen if there was a baggage issue and I was walking past you in the nets and you said, I got no bat. I said, all right, here's a kookaburra. I just found it downstairs. You've got to go and use it in the test match.
What would happen?
Yeah. Would you mentally explode or not?
No, I probably score runs.
Right.
Because it'd be
I'll take a spare one to Perth then.
Yeah. I mean, whose bats would I use in the team? That's probably
Yeah.
the one you got to
Okay.
ask. Whose bats? Josh Inglis. He's got similar, the handles, similar shape.
Yeah.
But that would be the first thing that I'd his handle.
The handle.
Right. So it's all feel. And then secondary is the ping of the bat and how good the bat's, balls flying off it. It's always feel before.
So at what age do you start to think, maybe I can be a professional cricketer?
This might be an unpopular answer.
Yeah.
3.
I love it.
I honestly didn't I didn't believe that I was going to do anything else. That was it.
Right. So it's not that that's not what you wanted to do. You thought that's what you would do.
Yeah, it was just there was only one option. It was eggs in one basket and sink or swim.
This show, Marnie, shows so often that it's not linear to succeed. Doesn't matter what you're doing, what sport you're playing, what job you have. There's ups and downs along the way. Tell me about, for all the kids listening that watch you bat and think, my God, this bloke was always going to play for Australia. Tell me about a down in your junior career.
Oh, Jesus, heaps.
There's heaps. Well, that's
heaps.
exactly the point that I make
There's
on this
heaps.
show. What was the one that really hurt you? It was like, oh, I didn't miss this team, or I didn't score runs at this time, or I didn't make this squad.
Firstly, what I would say is I was never the most talented kid.
You weren't.
Nah. So, I had good technique at a young age, which probably got me picked in more teams than I should have been picked.
So you looked good.
I looked good. I looked like I could play, and I had a thirst for learning and a thirst for work ethic. So, eventually, and I was very small for a very long time. So, I didn't really grow till I finished school. So, I was tiny at school. If I got I look big, kind of skinny, lanky, no power. But what that taught me was how to use the pace of the ball.
Yep.
So from a young age, I was able to use the pace. And Mark Stecky and I had a joke the other day. He was like, "You're the first person that lapped me, in under 13s." Because he bowled fast. He was bowled, maybe, mid 120s at, 13, 14.
And you were lapping him.
And I was using the pace. And I always did well when I played up. I struggled in my own age group.
Where you had to create the power.
Where I had to create the power. Because I couldn't hit over the top. I just didn't have the strength. So I just learned how to late cut, hit the ball past point. So whenever I played up at age group, I did relatively well. Disappointments. I mean, geez, where to start? There's so many. Not making teams. I mean, not making teams is huge, right? As a kid, because you feel like making this under 14s or under 12s
Absolutely.
Queensland team, this is everything. Or making this under 15s team, this is everything. So, like, there were so many disappointments. There were so many times grade cricket. My parents, I was in tears on the boundary. And this is playing, like, 5th grade. Because I played, 2 seasons in 5th grade.
At what
as, like,
age?
a 13, 14-year-old.
Yep.
15, and then played 2nd grade. So, I didn't play.
So you didn't bother 4th or 3rd?
No.
Just went from fifth
Played
to second.
one game in 3rd grade, like, a couple of years back, and then straight into 2nd grade
And when you had those, you mentioned work ethic, so I think it's probably a pretty predictable answer. Especially as a kid, Marnie, when you're 13, 14, 15, you get to a pathway, as you do when you get a bit older with your job. When you get told, nah, you're not on this squad, you can either think, stuff it. Cricket takes up half my day, I'd rather go to the beach. Or you can double down. I presume you just double down.
That once again, it was just never an option. Like, all these adversities that came along, not making teams, all came off the back of, like, it was just like it wasn't, there was never like, oh, I'm done. It was like, like, just
Bump in the road.
wake up, let's go, let's train. And I've always loved training. I've had thirst for training, and that's never stopped. And that's, like, when we spoke about, there was heaps of talented kids that were way better than I was.
Yep.
But they got an age where their ability was probably an hindrance for them,
Yep.
because they were so talented and they always were so much better than the kids that were playing. But as we got older, like, they sort of just kept going on talent. And I just outworked everyone and somehow then got ahead. Like that's literally how it was. Like, there was guys that I was playing club cricket. These guys were contracted, full contracts at 17, 18, 19. And I was just playing club cricket, like, trying to score. I wasn't in the original under-19 squad. I scored runs in 2nd grade. And I only played 4 games in 2nd grade, and then I got called up to 1st grade. So
What was your first 100? When did you first make 100?
first ever 100?
Yep.
Oh, under 13,
Under
Bears
13.
Carnival
Okay.
in
And
Mackay, Harrod Park.
did you hold the bat up?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I can only imagine I would have
I
held
can
the
only
bat up.
imagine. And when you're talking about the bowling machine and then having one you could feed yourself, how long are you going out there batting for when you can just feed balls to yourself?
Till it was dark
So what time are you starting?
when I
After
got back
school.
from school.
Right.
It's a bit of a trek because I went to Brisbane State High
Yep.
in the city, so high school.
Yep.
Um,
So you come home.
come home, catch bus home. Well, when we lived in Redland Bay, so I'd catch the 280 home. So get on at South Bank Station, go to 8 Mile Plains, get on the 280, straight drop me off 300 metres from home. So that's about an hour 30, a 90-minute trek.
So there's an urban myth about you that I wanted to ask you about. Someone told me this yesterday. They reckon you were involved at some point as a kid working for Channel 9.
Yeah.
True story?
Yeah, true story.
What were you doing?
This is going to sound like a much bigger job and you feel like you need more qualifications. But I was doing the hotspot camera from side on in the grandstand.
What do you mean you were doing it?
Like, I was in charge of making sure the hotspot camera was facing each over at the opposite end.
Right. So you had to rotate
So I was
it.
in the middle. I mean, I could probably pinpoint it out. I was in the middle
Yep.
of the second tier
Yep.
side on, in the middle of the wicket.
How old are you?
A grade 12.
Is this for a test match?
This was Peter Siddle's hat-trick. Peter Siddle's hat-trick. I was in the stand on hotspot. Like, this is Peter Siddle's hat-trick. I was there for all 5 days. So doing hotspot. Fell asleep a few times. Hotspot was, they did hotspot and then zooming in. And hotspot's on the bowler's feet.
You imagine now if you walked out in a test match and you didn't think you hit it and they went to hotspot and it wasn't there and you were given out.
Oh, mate.
If you found the bloke that was asleep, Marnie, you'd chase him down for months. So you had to swap it each over and you had a little
Each
kip on
over.
it.
Oh, I fell asleep
It's at the wrong
a
end.
couple of times. Like, bit of panic, getting it. But, yeah, so I don't really know how I came across this gig. It must have been someone. So got paid.
Right.
Got paid to sit in the stand, move the camera. I thought it was like unbelievable.
Got paid to watch the
gig.
cricket.
Got paid to watch cricket.
Welcome to
and
my
miss
world,
school.
man.
It was-
How good.
Yeah.
So you made your debut. I wrote it down. I don't have many notes here, but I like to get these things right. You're in the 14-15 Shield season. You play South Australia for Queensland at the Adelaide Oval, and you opened and made 83. Who tells you you're going to play for Queensland? Who's in the team, and what's it mean to you?
Wow. So I was the leading run scorer in grey cricket at this
Yep.
time, and this is round 1. So this would have been like, geez, I'm trying to work out the timings here.
November-ish.
Yeah, like early, but not. There was enough grey cricket. We had like maybe 4 or 5 one-dayers. Then we had some T20s and like 1 or 2 red ball games.
Yep.
And I got 100. I got, a couple of 80s and 90s. Usman broke his finger, so Uzi was out. Ben McDermott got called in for the one-dayers. And then I got called in for the. So I went in. I got called earlier in the week, mate. You're gonna play second 11. Well done. Like, come get your kit. Got my kit, and then the next day I got called, mate. We need that kit back, and you need to give that to Charlie Hemfrey because you're playing for Queensland.
And Charlie needs the twos kit.
Charlie needs the twos kit.
Right.
Trevor Holmes called me. Cracker was our selector then. I was downstairs in the car park, Coles, and I remember just going like I can't, is this even real? Like, getting the call, and I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it, but yeah. So, never played a second 11 game, so straight from club cricket. Didn't play a second 11, straight into opening the batting at Adelaide Oval. Luckily, it was an absolute highway. Chatty did get a hat-trick, though.
Right.
Got a hat-trick, so I watched the hat-trick from the non-strikers end.
Oh, he was doing it while you were up the other end.
Well, I was opening, yeah, so you got Burns, McDermott, and Forrest. 83. Adam Zampa, LBW sweeping. I was just getting a little bit cocky.
Was it out?
Yeah, dead, yeah. Other names had played in that. Andrew McDonald opened the batting,
Now he's your coach.
and Johan Botha played for South Australia.
And he was throwing you balls this morning.
Throwing me balls this morning.
Goes a full circle. Okay, so that's Queensland. How do you find out that you're going to play for Australia? We'll skip ahead a bit. So
Wow.
you're in the UAE. Take your time.
I mean, you probably got to, like, the story's probably got to start further back.
Okay, take it.
So
mate, I've got as much
I got
time
an
as you do.
Australia A trip.
Yep.
I got an Australia A trip. Just got called in for Australia A. And then there was my first Australia trip was the one that we, I don't want to say boycotted, but there was a bit of like,
Oh, okay.
that was a while ago. And so I was in that stage, I was like, man, I just want to play, like. And anyway, we didn't go to wherever we were going, and then I was picked for the one-day part of a tri-series between India, South Africa, and Australia in India.
In India.
But just for the one-day part. So I went to the academy the year before, got married in 2017, went to the academy, got married, honeymoon in South Africa, then into the academy, went from the academy, then got called into the Australia A. So playing for Australia A.
Where was that?
In India.
Yep.
And so we were, firstly, this tour was like a disaster because it was raining. We're in Vizag and it just rained for like a week. So we're just in a week in a hotel. We set up like an indoor squash game. Like, boys were like,
You're not getting
going
back.
nuts. Yeah, but we were like, we were having fun. And then finally the tour got moved to Chinnaswamy. So we were out at, Wanketi.
Yep.
And so we played a few games at Wanketi, and then I think we played at Bangalore. And so we played these games. Got runs in one game, did all right. And then Matt Renshaw picked up a quad strain or something. And so I was on... So end of the one day is, Marnie, you're on standby. You're going to stay around for a couple of days. Anyway, Renners was injured and we played and somehow I was on standby. I wasn't meant to be there. Got called in. Marnie to play. Leggy's handy. Bat at 6. And so I played, top scored. Actually, no, Uzi top scored. He corrected me, actually. We discussed this the other day.
Is it 1 day?
No, 4-day game. So now I'm in the 4 days.
Right.
Somehow I've stayed on. Played, got 68 at 6 and then got 40. And then I was kind of like, well, like Marnus was one of our best players this game. We can't drop him for the next game. So the next game, I get called in and halfway through the game, so I got a duck in the first innings. Halfway through the game, I'm sitting there waiting to bat. I'm batting at 5 or 6.
Where are you?
In an outground in Bangalore.
Okay.
And who was selector at the time? Cracker?
Okay.
Cracker or I think it must have been Cracker. Comes up to me and goes, mate, yeah, you're in. And also tells the other guys that weren't in that were still batting. So not ideal, but they had to get the team out. So Peter Hanscom at the time was still batting and like on 40 and batting well. And anyway, he got out after lunch. I got a pair. So I got a pair for the game and I got picked for Australia in this squad to the UAE.
Wow.
I think I was second leading run scorer in the Shield, Matthew Renshaw and then myself, for that 2017-18 season. So anyway, go on this UAE tour, same thing. I'm like, well, I'm on standby, but doing all the right things. And it's Matt Renshaw in the trial game was at short leg and got hit off the bowler and got hit at short leg. And so he's off with concussion. And then I get subbed in. So in the second dig of this game, I got 48 not out. Heady got 90 not out. We declared. Everyone else smacked him. And then I was like, you're in. So
For the test?
Yeah, for the test.
Who tells you?
Jeez. JL told me that I was in, and he wrote me a letter to just say, mate, like, I believe in you, amazing, like, you deserve this, and just reiterate that belief in me.
It's cool he wrote you a letter.
Yeah, it's like under my door, got there, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So got that, and then played my first test, obviously, got a duck.
Who gave you your cap?
Michael Hussey. Michael Hussey, yeah. My family and my best mate from England flew out. So they flew out to Dubai. They were all there. Beck, Mum, Dad, 3 of my friends flew out for like the first 2 days from England, from Sandwich, where I played, 2014. Get my cap from Huss, and I'm out there, and I think we bowled first. So I got a wicket. I got a run out firstly. I think I ran out Bubba, and I got a Sarge Feek nicked off.
Bowling.
Leg spin.
Leggies. Yeah.
And then so I got a wicket, a run out, a wicket before I got a run because I got a duck.
Were you nervous when you went out to bat?
Oh, yeah. Very nervous. Very nervous.
Second ball, I think I should have swept the first balls down leg and then next ball bat pad. Terrible batting. And then second innings, I got 10 with a 6, I think. So off Muhammad Hafiz with a new ball, just charged and whacked it. We drew that test, and the next test, I got 48 or something and 30 in the second innings. So batted all right. But took wickets. Wickets. I think I took like you did. I wrote it down.
7 or 8
You
wickets.
did.
Yeah. So
you did.
I actually bowled well. And then that was that summer in India, and so I got dropped for that series, and then came back the last test. where I got 38, and then got caught by Jinka Rahane at like short mid wicket off, maybe even Bumrah. Could have been Bumrah.
Can you remember just about every dismissal? Like
Fair few.
you've
Like,
rolled a few out there.
Yeah, if you paint the picture, I reckon I could get there with most of them.
So when you mentioned before, earlier on, when Harris Ralph got you out, and it was a good ball but not a great ball, when you're out, when I sit there watching, like, the moment you're out, from the outside, it looks like your world has just caved in, man. Like, how do you react? So, we'll talk about hundreds, but as I say, it's ups and downs in anything.
Definitely.
When you're out, what's your process? You've just got caught behind out in the middle of a test match.
The first just disappointment, walk off, maybe watch the replay.
Do you watch the replay?
Oh, if it's on the big screen, or pray for a no ball. I don't know. Do all the
Dave,
all the things.
special.
Yeah, like, just try hope, and then get back, sit there, maybe, like, from there on. I'm not a big blow up, guy. So I sit down, take my kit off, walk up, get the iPad, have a look, and then the wheel starts turning. Then I'm start thinking about, okay, well, why did that happen?
Yep.
What was going on? Why, should I do this, or maybe I should change this?
How long till you let it go? Because cricket is a game of disappointment. You and Steve Smith, even Sachin Tendulkar, you far more often you succeed. So how have you learned to deal with failure? Have you learnt to let it go and think about what's next?
Yeah, I think you it's a process, right? You deal with that process and then you let it go and you just park it. So it might take an hour or so, but I mean, I'm very rarely am I like sitting there and, just short. I'll get on with it and, muck around and, have a few words here and there and relax. But then, I know what I want and where I want things to be. So you just work that process through, and then you work out, okay, how can I make sure that I'm 100% on for, the next time I cross the line? Is there anything I need to work on or change, or if it's a setup or grip, stance, backlift, whatever?
The test documentary has an unbelievable description, visually and audio-wise, of when Steve Smith gets hit by Jofra Archer. And even though you'd played Test cricket, I think this is when you burst onto the Australian sporting scene, when everyone knew who you were. You come in as a concussion sub in England, so you weren't deemed to be good enough to be in that team. And you come out there and Jofra, what happens immediately from your eyes? When you walk out to the middle to bat as the concussion sub and Jofra Archer's got the ball in his hand.
Honestly,
it's captivating viewing.
Yeah, it's captivating. It's funny because everyone sort of says this, that the viewing was amazing.
It was phenomenal. The
way it's panned out. In my eyes, at that stage, I was batting really well. I had, like you said, it was a period of time where I had a lot of confidence in my game. I was just like, I'm batting well. I'm scoring runs. Great process. I know how I'm going to do it. And I was very confident at that stage. But I just remember thinking, like, the pressure was there, but I didn't feel the pressure because I just looked at it and it's like, mate, I'm coming in for a bloke that's averaging 60. Like, no one is expecting me to do well. So it's a free hit. It's great and you can kind of, to be fair, it's a free hit kind of, but you can kind of see that when Jack Leach is coming around the wicket and, like, I'm trying to save the game and I'm reverse sweeping him out of the rough. And then I'm, like, sweeping him and I'm here batting. Like, I don't really...
With freedom.
Yeah, I'm not. And it worked against me. I think I swept one into Joss Butler's knee and the ball popped up and Joe Root, half volley.
Bounced.
Definitely bounced. I've watched that replay enough.
But
anyway, that so that helped me because I was just like this is a free hit. Like, if I do badly, people are like, well, like, he was in the deep end. So I just took that as like, just go out and play. And once again, my game was in a nice space, so it came back to that. Like, it was just me making decisions and playing well. And I knew if I did that, I would get runs.
So Joffre, though, who was fearsome because he hit Smithy, and then he hit you
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
I watched this 4 times yesterday, and just from watching cricket, I don't know what else you could have done to be like. It was just.
It's a nice ball.
Oh, mate, it was an unbelievable delivery. But you just jumped straight
just
up
the slope. Yeah, but I mean, like that night, I was, obviously as soon as Smudge get hit, I'm like, ooh, like,
Ooh.
maybe. But then he goes out, bats, and I'm like, he's fine. Next morning, come to the ground, I'm having a hit, and Painey strolls over. I'm facing James Pattinson, Mitchell Stark, and Michael Nessa in the nets. Tough vision out at the back there in the garden, and couldn't see. And they were like bit spicy wickets. Anyway, walks over, he's like, mate, you're in. And I'm like, and I'm out of this net because I'm not breaking a finger. So like we're having the hit there in the morning. I'm in the going game's feeling like in a nice space. And I remember that night going to bed and just going like, mate, you can't you almost had a feeling. It's like you can't get hit. Like if you get hit, you just got to get up. You can't be the first guy, the concussion sub, to get concussed.
Yes.
Like that's like, I think I say that in the documentary.
Yeah, you do.
That
Yeah,
was like the vision. It was just like you just got to get up. And I mean, luckily it hit me on the grill, and like people always associate that with me being tough and that type of play. But it's not tough to be tough when it didn't hurt. Like it just hit me in the grill, and the grill took all the blow. And I was just like, you got to get up. Like, got up and then got on. It rattled me, woke me up. And then all of a sudden, I was moving a bit quicker. And Joff probably got the best out of me that day.
You had a golden summer, Mark. An absolutely golden summer, which you won't be aware of this, but you made 185 versus Pakistan. Your first ton.
First ton, yep.
Big deal, first ton.
Big deal.
At home.
Can't ever, until you get to that 3-figure mark, it feels miles away, because it's just, you get 90, but to get 100, it was like, I couldn't do that in the Ashes away. I kept getting like 60, 70, couple of 70s. So to get my first 100 was very special.
But then you follow it up with 162.
Yep.
Again versus Pakistan, Adelaide. Then you're on 140 odd in Perth. And you're shaking your head, but what you won't realise, our great statistician, Laurie Colliver, I'm in commentary, and he said to me, hey, mate, there's only 2 blokes in the history of Test cricket that have made 350s in a row. And he said it's Zahir Abbas and Mandasan Nazar, the 2 Pakistanis, which was apparently in the same series against India. So Loz is a wealth of knowledge. So I go with it on commentary, I think you're on like 141 at the time.
Bold. Neil Wagner.
2 runs later.
Leg stump?
Leg stump.
Legs? Yeah.
Yep. And my social media blows up with
fuming.
You're an idiot. You just got Marnus out.
Fuming.
You
I
were.
remember that. And once again, it was just another time. That time, I was just in a really nice space with my batting. The process. It wasn't ever results driven. It was just process. I was just had a real good feel for the game at that stage. So that's annoying dismissal. I remember that.
So what is it like to be... Well, the result is the number 1 Test batsman in the world.
Yep.
But you talked about the process. What is it like walking out in the middle of a Test match when everything is going your way? When you are on top of the world?
I wish you could say the nerves didn't bother you as much, but it still does.
Yep.
The only difference is you just get out there and you're just really consumed about your process and the things that matter to you at that time. So if that's bat path or, like you're just consumed by those few things, small things, and nothing else matters. I remember, people always saying to me, you always get those, quick singles into cover. I was like, mate, I don't even think about getting a quick single into cover. You know what? I just think defend the ball straight. If it's outside, let it go. If I hit the ball, I'm always looking to get runs. But if I block the ball and like I miss out on a 1, I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like I don't even think of that. And I learned that off Steve Smith. Like he was always saying that. It's like I'm not trying to turn the face and get a 1 in there early. if that happens naturally and organically and it just skews off the edge, but I just want to present a nice full face in defense, then take off. And you're just so process driven. It's like, you're just not even considering. You're like, oh yeah, that's there. If you miss out on something, oh, that's fine. Like, just stick to the process.
And what have you learned about the game? Like, you've set incredibly high standards. It's not for me to say. I can see statistically how you've gone for the last year. I don't know how you, how do you process it when the game is, I would never say easy, but when the game is not going your way?
You just got to try and find your way back there. That's the key. So for some people, it's mentally, it's a mental space. And I would say that's probably for me as well. It's just mentally getting yourself in that space.
So when you're in a hotel overseas and it's not going your way and you're trying to get yourself back there mentally, is that a difficult thing to do?
There's some part of it that's enjoyable. No,
right.
There's some parts enjoyable. You're digging in. You're trying to find it's like you're trying to find different options or things to do. And you're in India, we're playing on spinning wickets, and you're just trying to learn as quickly as you can and go, okay, this is what I've got to do. This is how. So, and once again, it comes back to process. I remember playing. In indoor, we were chasing, me and Hetty, we chased it one down, but we were chasing 100. I think Uzi got out first ball to Ashwin, and it was 100, but it felt like a long way away. I think Hetty and I were on 10 after 15 overs.
Mm-hmm.
I was stuck at one end facing Jadeja, and he was facing Ashwin. And I just remember, it's another point, I was just very comfortable in the process. I was like, play straight, spin pass, play straight. Do not get LBW to the straight ball. Just play the inside line, and then if you want to premeditate a sweep, just kind of calculate it on his length. So if he's dropped short a few times and you've got him on the back foot, he's probably going to overcompensate and try and get full. That's when you can sweep. So it's it was just so process driven. And when you're in that space as a batter, it doesn't matter where you are. If you're in England, Australia, there might be different things that you're valuing at the time. In that series, we pretty much didn't face much pace. But when you've got that headspace, you're just very process driven.
The World Cup. I remember having this conversation with you on the ground afterwards. Off the top of your head, give me some of the reasons why you were playing one-day international cricket in the lead-up and during that World Cup.
Jeez.
Because it gets to the World Cup final.
My whole career is like that.
You mentioned a concussion sub, then you mentioned a concussion sub in the test, but some of the reasons that you were
still playing. I mean, the obvious one. So got dropped from the side. I remember getting the call from George Bailey and they're saying you dropped. And my honest conversation with him was like, yeah, that's fair enough. I've not been very good. Obviously, I said to him, I was hopeful that you guys would stick with me and you would see beyond maybe the numbers and know that I was a player that you want in this time. But I said, me at my best at that time, I'm still the best guy to bat in the middle order for you. But I wasn't at my best then. And anyway, I was then playing for the Australia A. I think I was going to captain the Australia A at that time. And then literally we did all this work. 2 days later, Bales, mate, you're coming to South Africa. Smudge's wrist's no good.
So that's the first reason. You got on the plane because Smithy's wrist was no good.
Smudge's wrist. So that was the original. Because it was pretty much like we were in that stage. It was like, well, we don't know if Smith and Marnus can play in the middle together.
Yes.
And so it was like, well, Andrew McDonald and Bales were very clear at that stage still. It's like, well, if Smudge goes down, we think you're the guy for that replacement. So he went down, I go over, and I'm not expecting to play at this stage anyway, because there's obviously 16 other guys that are not ahead of me, obviously, but the batters. Anyway, so first game, once again, this is another time where I was batting really nicely. I was just feeling really confident in my game. Once again, if you match up all these conversations with different techniques, you'll see that they're not very similar. But for whatever reason, very confident, feeling very good. Went out there, and Greeny got hit in the head by Rabada. He's off. And I remember Andrew McDonald walking past me as Cameron Green walked past, and he goes, if he's concussed, you're in.
So concussion again.
Concussion again. But he was saying you're in, like as in you're the concussed sub, mate. You're getting out there. Anyway, and so I'm there, like, putting my pads on, and I'm waiting to bat, but Greeny hasn't been ruled out yet. So, like, we're losing wicket, and we lose another wicket, and it's like, so, like, I'm waiting to bat. It's 5. So, Greeny batted, I think, at 4. And then, so, he was out. So, I think maybe Ingo was 5. Keza was 6. And, like, Ingo got out. Keza got out. And then someone else got out. And then, no, so Keza got out. And then it was like, okay, you're in. Like, it's been done. Marnus, the concussion sub. So I'm out there batting at, I think, 7 or 8. And just, once again, feeling very confident in my game. The ball wasn't actually swinging that much at that stage. Like, Coetzee was just, like, bowling good pace. But it didn't feel that. Like, it was just, once again, I was in that nice headspace process. And I just played, and I just kept going. And as you know, I spoke to you after that World Cup, but I'm a man of faith, and the way my career's come, I can't give the credit to anyone else, but but Jesus. So it's honestly, it's amazing how that's come. How like you said, and we're gonna go through it. But firstly, Cameron Green, right? Then got 80, not so you couldn't drop me for the next game, so I'm safe. Next game, 120. So
in front of your home crowd?
In front of your home,
home South African crowd.
Home South African crowd. You got to be careful.
You do, or Justin Langer will be on the phone again.
Then next game, I think I make 20 in Poch, and then I make another 30, and then make 48 in the last game. And so at this stage, I'm like 48. I'm going home. I'm going home. Heady breaks his finger.
So there's the next one.
There's the next one. So Heady breaks his finger at the bull ring, I think.
Yep. So Steve Smith had a dodgy wrist. Cameron Green's been concussed. Travis Head's broken his hand.
So I go to India for the first part of, I think we had a 3-game one-day series against India.
Yep.
And the first game, I got 30, I think. Next game, I missed out. And the next game, I got 78 or 80. And so that was like, after that game was the announcement of the squad. So anyway, finished that. And then, because the World Cup squad, it's a tricky squad to pick.
Yes,
because
it's quite a small
like
squad
a small
too.
squad for a big tournament. So you can't just... So anyway, I mean... So firstly, they're all the things that I had to, there's
just
a few
to get
times
you in the squad.
To get me in the squad. So there were 3 injuries. 1 to get me into South Africa, then 1 to stay along to go to India, and then once we get over there, though, I'm playing pretty well. So I've sort of cemented my spot back at 4. Obviously, no Heady, so there's no. So it's just Smudge and I at 3 and 4. I think Mitch Marsh and Davey are opening. First game, made a bit of a meal of it. We did actually against India. A few drop catches, but batting, we should have got a few more runs. And then the next game, we lost to South Africa.
0-2.
0-2. And I think I got 47 or something, got caught with Maharaj at cover. And then, I did all right there. Next game, we're under the pump against Sri Lanka with 330 again, and I think Bias got 50-odd, and I got 40-odd again. And so that was our first win. And then we start rolling in. I think Bias gets 100 against Pakistan.
Yep.
And Davey gets 100. And then the next game rolls around. And I don't know when it sort of started, but when the Heady came back in. So Heady was meant to play the Netherlands game. So he's meant to play Netherlands. I got the call, mate, we're going with get dropped for Heady.
So you're out of the side again.
So I'm out of the side that night. Me and Ron had a few, long chat. because once again, I've always said I'm not unjust. You know, when I know I need to be dropped or deserve to be dropped, I'm the first person to know
So you
that.
didn't think you should have been dropped then?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I thought I was batting quite well. I was reading the situations, but obviously Travis Head, you know, in the form that he's in,
Yes.
we need to get him back in. Someone had to make weight. So, anyway, I'm out. Morning of the game against Netherlands, mate, Heady's not come up, you're in. So I go out and I got 68 off 40 or something against Netherlands. Maxi smacked him at the end. Davey got 100. Then, I don't know what the next game is. I'm trying to think.
You played Sri Lanka.
Oh.
Yeah. But
I mean, so the next game is, it must be like where top of the hill, Dharamshala maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it must be.
New Zealand?
Yeah, New Zealand, Dharamshala, and that was the first game I batted at 5. So Heady was in for the first game, smacked him. Stoyne wasn't fit, so Stoyne had a side strain, so he wasn't fit. So that was sort of the decision at that time, and he wasn't fit, so I stayed in the side.
So now Stoyne is not fit.
Stoyne not fit. And then, so I think I didn't get runs there, but Davey and Heady smashed it, and I did a few good pieces of fielding at the end that people remember. So that sort of got me a bit of traction as like an all-rounder type role, you know, but 5 is fielding. And then the next game was Hyderabad against England. And this was the Maxi fell off the golf cart.
So blokes are being a cast. Blokes had broken hands.
So
and
Maxi fell off the golf cart, and then Bice went home for his granddad's funeral.
Yes.
So
you're back in.
He goes home. Well, I wasn't officially dropped at this stage, but you know that was, once again we haven't had a fully fit side yet. So he's gone. I play. I get 80, and we end up winning. And then the next game is, I want to say Bangladesh.
Pune?
Bangladesh in Pune, and no, it's Afghanistan.
Maxwell.
It's Afghanistan. So I get run out by Maxi in Afghanistan. Maxi gets 200, we win. Outrageous. Next game's Bangladesh. Maxi resting with cramp. And this is when we were kind of almost fit. But we had Heady, Warner, Bice, Smudge, myself. But Stoyne was in, Maxi out. All of a sudden, we're now not fit yet. The next game was the first game of the tournament that where everyone was fit. And that is where I got... I forgot to mention. The Afghanistan game, I was out. Because Stoyne played, but Smudge was sick in the morning.
Another reason.
So I got told. I got the keeping gloves on. I had the runners on.
That's right.
In warm-up, not in. And then Smudge got sick.
You're in.
Man, you're in. And then the last 2 games of the World Cup was when I was obviously got selected in the full strength.
So you win the semi versus South Africa. What are your memories of the World Cup final? Like, from the commentary box, extraordinary to keep India to what you did, especially after the way Rohit Sharma started. But a tally, Australia would have always been confident to chase down.
But it's a World Cup final.
It's a World Cup final, and I remember being in the box and Shammy was just swinging around corners, and there was just poles falling all over the place. I thought at one stage we'd get bowled out for 65. What's happening at that stage for you?
I'm sitting up the top and, going off, and Heady is, swinging hard early. Davey nicks one. Vera takes a good catch. Bice, LBW, and then Smudge gets LBW not out, doesn't review it. And I walk out there.
That's the one when Smithy was
Heady
out, and I thought, hang on, we got major
trouble.
problems now.
And I walk out to Heady, and I'm like, why has he not reviewed that? I'm blowing up about Smudge. I said, he's reviewed every decision up to now in his life, and the World Cup final, he doesn't review it. Anyway, so we're going, me and Heady, we back quite well together because I do my thing at his end, he does his. And I'm like, swing bowling. I mean, it's not your face swing over nip. So, yeah, it's swinging around. But I was feeling very nice about my game. My game's in a nice place. And I just batted. And it was kind of like some of the conversation we had was, we want that high tempo through the middle. But then this situation put itself, and it was just like, mate, it's on the wall. The writing's on the wall. Just bat. And honestly, I went to bed that night, and I had this feeling that it was just going to be like the World Cup. It was something like this was going to happen.
You had a feeling the night before.
Yeah, like as in that it was like there's going to be something cool, because it was just like all this story that we're just telling, right? Like being dropped 3 or 4 times, not being on the original tour. There's so many things to it, and somehow, the other night was the first game I missed in 36 games.
Yeah.
Like, it's an amazing story, and I just knew once again, my Christian faith is obviously big, and I just knew that the great man had something big in store, and, I mean, it wasn't as pretty as Hetty smacking him around, but it was just, doing what was necessary for the team. Blocking Jadu out and just kept just batting.
And so what's it like when you realise, when there's 20 or 30 to go, when you realise that you've been involved in a partnership that will forever be talked about in Australian cricket, your innings, Trav's innings, the last, Trav got out very late, but what's the last 25 runs in front of 120,000 plus Indians knowing you're going to win the World Cup final?
Well, my thing was, like, you've got here, do not get out.
So you're
now.
thinking Reading, I love it.
No, I'm thinking like, there's no, like, you've done it.
Yep.
You've got it to here. Now, the first thing you want is you want to be here to win the World Cup in the middle. Like, that's a memory that stays. So I'm
unbelievable.
And there's no scoreline pressure. So I'm like, I'm not taking any risk. I'm just nudge around. And I was like devastated for Hetty, because I was like, that was my feeling for us. It's like, mate, this is like unbelievable. Like, just be out here to finish. But Hetty is just Hetty, right? He just takes it on and like played a ridiculous innings.
He did.
But like that moment, I was just like, no, you're just here at the end. Like, this is where you want to be. Like, the boys running on in the huddle, dropping the bat, like, and just seeing the boys like early on, the nerves and like and then seeing them at the end just relaxed and just creating that calmness through what Hetty and I were doing. It was amazing. Honestly, amazing memory.
It was absolutely outstanding. Just a couple of other things I want to ask you about. As obsessed as you are with batting, again, through the Test documentary and just seeing you around the different hotels, you have an obsession for coffee.
Yeah.
To the point where you're running your own operation.
Yeah.
You've taken coffee machines away on tour.
Yep.
And served the role as the barista.
Yeah, well, I mean, I served the role as the setup. Labuschagne has kindly given us a team coffee machine. I've got my own coffee machines that I travel with, and we've got a team one. So I always set up the team one in the team room, make sure we've got beans wherever we are, if I'm sourcing beans from England or bringing them over to India for the World Cup. The Run Club, which is my brand of beans, is what we use over there. So we ship them over in bags and use them.
So this is not just the Run Club is your bit. This is not just that Marnus Labuschagne's put his name to a coffee operation. This is you. You are passionate about this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, love it. And so they source the machine, the travel, and we just got everything sorted. But when we go to a different place, so if we're in Cardiff, make sure we get beans somewhere in Cardiff and make sure the beans are pouring well, that the timings are right, that the machine's nice. Now the coffee's good. Sourcing milk in India, that's a tough gig. So working with our chef to get fresh milk, full cream milk, that's so when I arrive at the hotel, the coffee machine, mine gets delivered to my room, the one to the team room. So I set mine up, set the one in the team room up, call downstairs. Vishal was our chef, organise milk. We need full cream milk. We need it in the Tetra Packs, like certain brand, because it's very hard, right? Communication.
I don't want to get it because I try and get it for the old protein shake when I'm in India. It's not an easy thing. So you're well sourced. So your perfect coffee, what are you ordering?
For me, double ristretto flat white.
A double wit? See, I don't drink
Ristretto.
coffee. What's
yeah.
a ristretto?
It's a restricted shot. It's what it's shortened for.
Okay.
So instead of running your double shot for the for like the 30 seconds, and you're extracting 40 mils of coffee,
Yep.
you're putting 1 cup under the 2 spouts for 20 seconds and running a 20 mil shot
Okay.
in 20 seconds.
So it's very precise.
So it's like a 1.5 shot. It's a nice. It really goes well with like a 6 or 8 ounce cup. The flavour is really nice. Because single shot, might be a bit weak. Double shot's a bit much.
See, this is a man that's passionate about his coffee. The other thing on the test that came across was your description of making a toasted sandwich and then putting it in the fridge so the cheese would go cold after your batting session, which I loved, and it caused a lot of discussion about amongst a lot of people, as you know. So if I'm playing cricket on a Saturday for the mighty Bowen Head C grade, it's still the old take the afternoon tea when you're at home, get the afternoon tea when you're away. Tell me what happened. Not about what happened with JL. What did you have in your pocket when you went out on the ground?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No.
So there was no toasted sandwich in the pocket.
No. So what happened was, the story as it happened was, it was lunch, and I made a toasted sandwich, and I made it, cut it up. I walked past the coach, and the coach said, "You better not take that on the ground."
Right.
So I walked past him, and I kind of looked at him like, obviously.
Okay.
Like, obviously, I'm not going to take it on the ground. Anyway, so I walked out the front in the dugout area and sat there, and I was talking to Painey and whoever else was out there and eating my toasted sandwich. And the coach walked past, and he was, obviously what he meant is like, you're not taking it out there, which I was misunderstood, clearly.
Uh-huh.
But so I had my toasted sandwich at lunchtime just outside, and it was a little bit of a misunderstanding.
Right.
Because
So there's no toasted sandwich in the pocket.
no toasted sandwich spot. No Nick Mattinson.
No.
2000 and
No, that's right. He did.
11.
He did. A couple of quick ones for you. Who is the best bowler you face, Marnie?
Oh wow, that's such a tough question. Ravi Ashwin in India.
Yep.
Or like Jadeja in India. Like Jofra Archer 2019. He was like,
Yeah.
I only think he got me out once, but he was bowling nicely. Good pace, good skill. So
And-
probably those.
And which batsman do you look at within your own team or internationally and think, as a bloke that loves batting, I look at that bloke or girl and think, that's next level stuff?
Oh, there's so many. So many. I mean, I literally was saying to Johan Botha this morning, I watched the 2014 Australia-South Africa series just on YouTube. I'm scrolling through, watched the whole series. And I was just like, David Warner was batting out of this world, that series. Like, he was just smacking it and hitting the ball on the up. But I always love watching AB. I love, like, left-handers are a bit different. Like, there's a few fundamental things that you can't really carry over as a right-hander. But AB, the way he set up, the way he let the ball come, the way he turned his shoulders, like, love the way he batted. Smudge, I've watched many videos of Steve batting, and I even sent him. I was like, mate, you need to bat like this. Like,
Showed him.
Yeah, like, sent it to him. I was like, mate, look at this shot. It's unbelievable. But yeah, like, so many different batters that I value, that I like, the way that their techniques go. You know, I like looking at finer details of how guys move, and then what I can gain or learn from them, and then bring that into my own game.
You mentioned your faith a couple of times. How important is it to you? Well, not as an athlete, just as a person. What's it mean to you?
Certainly gives you perspective and purpose. I think, you know, I go back to that World Cup and I look at that, the way everything panned out, and I go, well, like, this purpose of what happens isn't my doing. This is someone at a high power that's that wants me in that situation at that time. And, I'm just the pawn in the chess game. And I think it gives your life meaning. It certainly gives my life meaning. And, yeah, I mean, it instills the values. I mean, my parents and my wife's parents and my whole family, we all go to the same church. And those values that I see them now that they gave to us, we're now instilling those values in our kids, and it's really special. And we're so lucky that I've got such great family and such great role models of people in my life. My mum, my dad, my wife's family, my wife's parents. And I think that's the real key, is that you're surrounding yourself with people with the same values and beliefs and as you. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how people do it without faith. Honestly, that's my true thing, because I just believe that, everyone's life's got more purpose than just being here and not meaning anything.
And I obviously see this a lot, the way you treat fans. So when people ever ask me, they say, "Oh, what are the Australian cricketers like?" And I say, well, all I can say to you is, if you're at an airport or if you're at a test match ground, they're all lovely, lovely blokes. But I always say this: if there's two people that will always come and say hello to you at a cricket ground, out in the middle, it's Mitchell Starc and Marnus Labuschagne. And I always appreciate it. We were chatting out in the middle the other day, and it's just a really nice thing that, for me, that you're accepted within the community, and you and Starkey always make a real effort, and I see you do that with kids and autographs, which I think is to me, I love that about you blokes more than I love the fact that you can bat or Mitch can bowl.
Yep.
I love that, because I see what my kids are like when they meet someone. So when it's a long-winded explanation saying I love the way you go about it, Marnie, and I love the way you treat people, and then when a little kid comes up to you with stars in his eyes and wants a photo like you got with Sean and Hansy, what does that mean for you?
My mum always reminds me of that. It's like, that was you one day. And I think you always want to treat people like people treated you, and you always want to give people the opportunity. And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you get frustrated, or you're annoyed, or there's something going on in your own mind. But I think my mum is always a consistent reminder in, like, don't forget that was you, and how much you loved it, and you were waiting to get Jack Carlos's signature or AB's signature, or, Mackay and Teeny's signature on the boundary when you were watching cricket at Potch. Like, they're really big things to value. So once again, it probably comes back to that, having to thank my parents for the upbringing that I got. And I mean, my mum's faith and our belief that we got grown up with, because I think that's instilled the values that I would like to see, not only in me, but in our society. I think that makes us a better community.
I love it, Marnus. And as I say, that's what I always say to people. I say, Marnie and Stark, you can't go wrong with those two. If we always finish this the same way. We have a lot of young kids listening to this, and I'm sure a lot of kids will have taken a lot out of this. If you had any advice for any people out there that are trying to achieve success in their field, doesn't need to be cricket, doesn't even need to be sport, what would you say to them, man?
Hard work trumps like natural ability anytime. I think my coach Neil DaCosta said this to me once. He said, you want the perfect recipe. You want just the right amount of skill, but not enough that's going to deter you to work hard and learn. And you want to be able to learn and grow. They're going to make you the best player. And I think that's the way in anything in life. Obviously, you need some sort of natural ability. That's what you need. But like, if you want it enough and you're willing to make sacrifices to get something and work harder than anyone else, like, you're going to end up on top. It might not be now. It might not be, and I say that to kids all the time. Like, I wish young Marnus, like, could see that, and I could probably enjoy those junior years a bit more instead of being so consumed by, like, I've got to make this team, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. But yeah, I would definitely say that would be my biggest piece of advice: hard work, and like sacrifice of whatever you want. Like, and that means, whatever it means for you at the different stage you are in, different career, or if it's in a, like, if you're willing to want something more than someone else, like, you got to work hard, and if you work hard enough, you can get what you want.
I love it, Marnus. I was pumped about flying up to Brisbane and having you here in the studio, mate. I hope you have a great summer, but more importantly, I hope you continue to have a beautiful, happy family and everything comes your way, mate. It's always great to see you play cricket, but as I said, it's always really nice in the middle when you come and say g'day and ask what's going on in other people's lives. Good luck to you moving forward, and mate, thanks for joining me on the Howie Games, and I love that shirt.
You love the shirt.
I love the shirt.
Cheers, Howie. It's
Well
been
done.
a pleasure.
Well done.
Thank you.